right, welcome back to the Hold My Helmet Football Podcast. I'm your host, Will Reichling.
I'm Dylan Boyle.
What's up, Dylan? What is going on? Week 7 of the NFL season in the books. Crazy games. We had the core four, the Chiefs, Niners, Lions-Vikings. What was it? There was a couple more. Ravens-Bucs, Texans-Packers. Those four were crazy. We're going to start with Chiefs, Niners, Super Bowl rematch. Dude, all I'm going to say is, yes, McCaffrey was out. Ayuk left the game. He's out for the season. Mm-hmm. Apparently, Deebo Samuel had pneumonia. That was weird.
A lot of weird stuff going on there in this game.
But Brock Purdy was not good in that game. He was not the same guy.
He wasn't.
What is going on with the Niners?
Well, listen, I don't want to say he's not the same guy. He's still that guy. I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt. He's in his second year. He's in his second year, so he's still developing quarterback. I will say there was a lot of ugly throws I saw during that game, like that one. I think they were trying to come back, and they drove it down to the red zone, and he just threw the most nasty.
That was the worst pick of the game.
That was terrible.
Yes.
You got to see the defenders there, and that could have been a momentum changer. And I think if they would have had that touchdown, that could have changed the script in this game.
And you hit the nail on the head. How did he not see the defender creeping over the middle like that? That was a bad decision. You have to see that. It's almost like he kind of threw it, thinking anticipating the guy was just going to be there open. Yeah. You have to read the field. Does that mean he was getting hurried a little too much in this game? Maybe. The Chiefs have a good defense. And, yeah, they were missing pieces. But
now they're missing quite a few more pieces.
It's not looking good for them at all.
It's not. I mean, we got George Kittle. He's going to be out. He's a day-by-day injury report. I think it's a sprained ankle. But now we have Ayuk with the injury.
Done for the year.
We got Deebo with the pneumonia.
I guess, yeah.
We don't know how long that's going to last. Apparently, he was hospitalized. So.
McCaffrey might come back in November, apparently.
Well, no, I heard he might come back sooner than later. I heard after their bye, he might come back.
He's going to have to now, because what do you have on that offense? I mean, yes, you have Kittle. You still have Deebo when he comes back. You have some pieces. Jawan Jenningson's coming back. But now you saw when they're missing some pieces, Purdy struggled. And I don't know if that was just, the defense. Also, I mean, I thought the defense for the Niners played pretty well for the most part. Mm-hmm. Brock Purdy, that might have been his worst game as a professional football player in the NFL. He was terrible.
There was games last year where he was pretty bad.
The Ravens game.
There was a lot of games last year where he looked really bad. But it goes back to what I'm saying. He's a developing quarterback, and I don't want to rag on him too much. I mean, you're playing the former Super Bowl champions that are undefeated right now, so it's not like they're facing a bad team and playing bad. They're playing good football. They're just making dumb mistakes, and you got to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, they are missing some key players, and now they're going to be missing more. That's going to be a big loss for them, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they used. They're going to have CMC back there, and they're going to have Madison?
Jordan Mason.
Jordan Mason, my apologies. Jordan Mason back there. And I'm kind of curious to see how they use them both. Because you could kind of use, Christian McCaffrey as more. They could kind of use them like the Lions, Like
McCaffrey, your Gibbs, and Montgomery, your Mason.
Exactly. So they could really. I mean, now that CMC has been out for so long, you kind of see what you have, what talent you have on the roster, running back wise. So they might be a better team for it, but I don't know. It really comes back to if Brock Purdy can stop making these dumb mistakes.
I think one of the biggest... Yes, Brock Purdy's been making terrible mistakes. He's had a lot of very good games this season.
He has.
He's had some elite games this season.
Can't look past them either.
But it seems like every time he has some talent out, he kind of folds a little bit. Again, you're playing the defending Super Bowl champion, but you played them in the Super Bowl. You want to be able to beat them this Super Bowl if you make it to the Super Bowl this season. I think the biggest problem with the Niners right now, they're 27th in red zone touchdown percentage. They're just kicking too many field goals. You got to be able to get in the end zone, and they're not coming up with touchdowns.
And I feel like that goes all back to not having CMC.
That's a big factor, absolutely.
I mean, he was your red zone guy. I mean, he was your anything guy at the end of the day.
And you kind of said how Mason could be your downhill runner. McCaffrey was that. McCaffrey was everything. He was their everything. I gave an argument that McCaffrey was the best offensive player last season. He had 2,100 total yards. I mean, you're really missing a big piece on that offense and missing Christian McCaffrey. That is a huge loss.
So basically what we're getting down to, are we worried about the 49ers? And yes, in hindsight, I am worried about the 49ers, but then let's look back at their division. The Seahawks are leading their division 4-3. I really don't think they're that great of a team. Honestly,
I think they're fool's gold. You saw the Giants game.
Exactly. That sold it for me. You got the Cardinals that are 3-4,
who beat them though, and now have the tiebreaker, but they will play again.
And again, they look terrible this week.
But they won. But they didn't look good. I get what you're saying.
They didn't look good. They won, but they didn't look good. And
we'll get into the Cardinals probably a little later, maybe even the next episode.
And then trailing is the Rams 2-4. I don't think they could make any sort of comeback at this point. They're the last in their division. You got a really stacked NFC. The NFC is stacked right now.
It's really flipped.
So if you're on the bottom, like behind in your division, there's no way you're coming back at this point. With the NFC North being so, I'm sorry, the NFC North with there's a chance that all of these teams from the NFC North can make the playoffs.
Which would be the first time in
the worst team right now is the Bears at 4-2. 4-2.
It's pretty crazy.
I mean, that kind of says it all. I mean, all these teams have to go unnoticed right now.
That's why I'm kind of worried about the Niners. I still think at the end of the day, they're going to win the division. But I don't think that they're the same team in the playoffs. I have the Lions over them. I have Green Bay over them. Right now, Minnesota...
Fully healthy, though?
Minnesota clobbered them a couple weeks ago. Don't forget
Fully
that.
healthy, though, with CMC back there.
Here's the thing, though, about that. You make a great point. Fully healthy. They will never be fully healthy again this season.
Because they're going to be missing IU now.
So, you got to remember that now. And Debo, can we rely on him to be healthy for the rest of the season? Because he's never healthy for a full season. Maybe this is his one injury of the season.
I wouldn't say it's an injury.
It wasn't. It wasn't. That's why I did the quotes. It wasn't.
And maybe he needed that little week off, and maybe this will prevent it. No.
Maybe no.
I don't think it works like
glass
that.
Half full.
But
glass half full.
I am not worried about the 49ers yet. Not yet. All right. I think they're still standing 3-4. They're tied in second place in their division. Yes, it's a hard conference, but I think they're going to win their division.
And it's weird because Brock Purdy has had some great games. Yes, he's had some bad games, but he's had some elite games. There were some games where he was making throws, moving around like crazy.
Absolutely. You can't look past the elite throws that he makes.
But they're still 3-4. Patrick Mahomes, who has not looked good statistically wise, they're 6-0. And right now, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks in 6 games. He's on pace to have 17 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. 17 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. That is borderline not a starter. Like, that is someone that you should get benched. But if you watch him, the eye test shows he makes 2 to 3 plays a game that are just like, how did he do that? That run down the sideline, how did he do that? Like, he I'm at the point with Mahomes. You could go right after me. Let me get this out really quick. With Mahomes, it's not even... I don't even really look at the stats anymore because I feel like we're past that with him. It's about like now just winning Super Bowls and like he's gonna have clunkers. He's had a lot this year, but he's on another level now.
It's very weird. When I think about the Chiefs this season, I can't put my finger on it. I can't put my finger on any of it because you'll see the plays that they make and they'll make the dumbest mistakes. Mahomes will throw the dumbest balls.
He's had some bad picks.
He has. It just doesn't make sense how they end up winning at the end. It just doesn't.
Well, they have a defensive team now.
They have a defensive team.
And I think Andy Reid is really just coaching out of his mind. That one with Carson Wentz, did you see the one? The Carson Wentz lining up in the 3-point stance?
You told me about it. I didn't see it. I watched the whole game. I didn't see it.
It's weird you didn't see that one.
I didn't.
You had Carson Wentz and Patrick Mahomes lining up next to each other in the shotgun in 3-point stances. And then Carson Wentz took the shotgun snap and handed off to Kareem Hunt doing a jet sweep. It was the weirdest play, but only Andy Reid would come up with that, and then it was worked for a touchdown.
So I think what really makes this team beyond great is obviously Patrick Mahomes. He's one of the best quarterbacks, even on his off days. And then Andy Reid, and then you have a good defense, and whatever happens afterwards everything else will make up for that. For the bad O-line, even though their line is, middle of the pack, but the weapons they have. That's what it all comes down to. I mean, it's crazy because it's like either you have really good weapons and a bad coaching staff or the opposite way. Or you have a really good coaching staff and...
Because it's hard to get both.
It can go either way.
It's hard to get both. And like head coaches, yes, they don't count towards the salary cap, but like... owners kind of think of like one or the other type thing. It's like, oh, I have a talented roster. Okay, I can use a young head coach. Or, oh, I have a shit roster. Chargers. Let's bring in Jim Harbaugh. You know what I mean? So it's like,
you kind of need a little bit of both to balance it out.
Which is what the Chiefs have.
But
They
no,
do.
it's what I was trying to get at is like you have a great coach and a great quarterback. Everything else will work out.
Yeah, Texans, D'Amico Ryan, CJ Stroud. They haven't even played great this season, but they're somehow 5-2 right now.
Yeah, missing some key targets.
Yes.
But yeah, I want to get into that game too.
We
but-
will.
No, we will. I'm excited for that game. That's a game worth talking about. But I guess I'm not worried about this 49er. I mean this Chiefs team because they're 6-0 right now. I feel like they're going to kick it in overdrive once they get into the playoffs, and that's really all that matters.
I know
they're 6-0 right now, and a lot of people are saying they're going to go undefeated. Do you think they're going to go undefeated?
Well, it's crazy because like the one team I would have thought they would lose to was Baltimore in Week 1, but they weren't like revved up yet, and they kind of they lost that game. Right now, I feel like the Ravens will win that game, but they don't play them again, so
not into the playoffs.
I don't think this winning's sustainable, but every time I say that, they win. So it's
exactly. It's like I can't put my finger on this team. I can't.
It's coaching and defense. It's
coaching, defense, and quarterback.
Yeah, because Patrick Mahomes is not statistically has been bad.
And he's ranked like very low.
He's like in the 20s,
stat-wise, terrible.
But
if you throw more interceptions than touchdowns,
which is like a backup quarterback. That is what it is. A backup quarterback does
and then
that.
Kareem Hunt has been plug and play. I mean.
That's Andy Reid right there.
That's Andy Reid.
Now, I will
that's
say,
great.
I think, like I said, with Mahomes, we're past the point of numbers, and like you watch the game and you see how good he is. He's making, and like yes, do the announcers kind of like are the announcers a little too much kiss ass? Yes.
I can give so many examples, but I'm not.
But he does make plays where you're like, how did he do that? The sideline run, like I don't understand.
I saw this one play this week, and they're like. The announcer was like, wow, what a good play by Patrick Mahomes. You could see everyone was covered, and he just made the smart decision and took a sack. And then he was like, there was one person that was open for a second, but he would have had to throw that right away. I'm like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah.
Hop off his, you know what. Like, come on.
Look, the analysts and
It drives me crazy.
They do ride him hard. In a
I get it. He's, like, one of the greatest. I mean, like, he's a great quarterback, but, like, say a bad play when it happens, you know?
That's why I like, and it's funny because he doesn't really play on Monday Night Football a lot, but that's why I like Troy Aikman because he will shit on someone on Monday Night Football, but he doesn't really, ironically, now I think about it, when are the Chiefs ever on Monday Night Football? They never are. So I feel like he would probably
It's usually
rip
Sunday
him.
Night Football with them.
I feel like they would rip him, but no, you're right. They do.
No, that just drives me crazy.
They kiss his ass, but you know what? I get it. Look, I get it. And, there are some analysts that kiss the Jets' ass coming into the season. They kissed their ass. Look, they said
a lot of people did.
Aaron Rodgers is going to be MVP. Breece Hall's going to be Offensive Player of the Year. They're going to win the division, go to the Super Bowl. This is not a playoff team.
And on this week of where are the Jets at? Where are the Jets at?
There's 5 main problems with the New York Jets. One. Woody Johnson. I put that in all caps. It shows itself again. So let me just
No. You do your thing because I got a few things I want to say too.
Hassan Reddick, how we signed the contract. Like they restructured.
Ironically, a week after getting Adams,
they restructured his deal and everything. The agent Drew Rosenhaus for Hassan Reddick came out and said, "My negotiating was only with Woody Johnson. Joe Douglas was not involved at all. Why is the owner?" Who's not a football guy? He's a vaccine guy. He's a medicine. He's not Johnson & Johnson. He's not a football guy. He's not Al Davis. He's not even Jerry Jones. Why is Woody Johnson negotiating deals with defensive linemen in the NFL? Why? When you have a GM, what is the point of having a GM? So number one is Woody Johnson. I think he was involved with. I think it was his doing firing Saleh. Yes, Rodgers was probably involved, but it was Woody Johnson.
We're talking about what happened on the field.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Let me keep going.
No.
Relax. So Woody. Hassan Reddick. Why is he negotiating? Where's Joe Douglas? What the hell's going on? 2, Robert Saleh getting fired. I feel like Joe Douglas wasn't involved in that either. 3, why was Zach Wilson there last season? Clearly, I feel like this guy meddles too much. That's 1. So Woody Johnson starts at the ownership, trickles his way down. 2, you don't have a legit head coach. Yes, Robert Saleh was bad, but he was the only experienced head coach in the building. Now you have Jeff Ulbrich in there. He looks like he doesn't belong. He looks overwhelmed, and they're making the same mistakes. False starts. They almost had another 12 men in the field. It was almost a second time with that. So they don't have a head coach. That's number 2. Number 3, Aaron Rodgers is not the same quarterback. You saw in the game, when he gets pressured, he can't move out. Devontae Adams was open like 3 or 4 times down the field, and he just didn't hit him. Aaron Rodgers is not the same guy. He's probably top 16, yeah, but that's average at best. So he's not clearly Aaron Rodgers isn't the same guy. Told you I was getting there. So just got two more. Let me keep going. Okay. Number 4, the offensive line's terrible. You had Tyron Smith from Dallas. You got him, and he's a future Hall of Famer. He comes to the Jets. He's terrible now. He's awful. He was one of the best left tackles of all time. Comes to the Jets. He sucks now. He's washed. This is what the Jets do. They just pick up a bunch of stars. They think it's all going to click. Let's get Aaron Rodgers. Let's get Devontae Adams. Let's get Tyron Smith. It's like basketball. Let's get James Harden. Let's get Russell Westbrook. It never works. It doesn't work because you can't just get stars and think it's going to work.
That's a great analogy.
And number five, last but not least, the defense is not the same. It's not the same. It's just they're getting burnt down the field. What is Sauce Gardner? He's obviously top 10, but is he the best corner in the league? He's not Surtain. Surtain's locking people down. That's really what it is. So 1, Woody Johnson, obviously. 2, no legit head coach. 3, Aaron Rodgers isn't the same. 4, the offensive line's awful. And 5, the defense isn't the same. That's my analogy.
I think you hit everything on the head there.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. I knew it took a little while. I know I was getting off topic for a little bit, but I was going to reel it back in after a while. So go ahead.
Ownership is the key point. I get that. But it all matters what happens down on the field. It really does. And you have Aaron Rodgers that does not look like the same quarterback that he was on Green Bay. Let's just be honest.
Obvious.
And you think you bring Adams in, this is going to be a whole different offense. Everything's going to be great now. We got the whole Green Bay pack back in the building. This is the Packers 2.0. And you think it's going to work. It's not. And I hate to break it to you, you think the old thing is going to work better now on a different team. It's just not. I mean, you could see it clearly in the Steelers game. They're just not. They're not up to par. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers thought Adams was going to come on and they were just going to be the good old Aaron Rodgers and Adams, I think he was out of his mind. And you gotta imagine that Adams was only there because of Rodgers and vice versa. Rodgers only wanted Adams. I'm sure if they brought in Amari Cooper, he wouldn't be happy. But, there was, Adams was literally staying with Aaron Rodgers. That's his buddy. And then you could tell from the get-go, the first play, who was it to?
Well, it was to Adams. And
exactly. And
he missed him.
He completely missed him.
And there's people saying that Adams dropped that when it wasn't even close.
It wasn't even close to him. So I think it just comes down to Aaron Rodgers not being that guy.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, the defense isn't terrible. Yeah, the Sauce hasn't been 100%. What, Jaden Reed?
DJ Reed, yeah.
DJ Reed, I'm sorry.
Love
DJ
that guy.
Reed. I mean, he's a solid number 2. I mean, this defense is still can still
they're good.
Play at a good level as long as the offense is humming.
That's the thing. They're not elite like years past, and that was one of my vibe right there. The defense.
But at the end of the day, if you put any other veteran quarterback back there, I think they can get it done.
I think Kirk Cousins.
You put Matthew Stafford back there, I think he can get it done. You put Kirk Cousins back there, I think he can get it done. You put
Jared Goff.
Well, that's what I was getting to.
The line
is, but he can still make those phenomenal throws.
Yes, but I think the whole Detroit line it makes him better.
Bring Geno Smith back. I think he can get it done.
He can move.
But at the end of the day, you have everything you need. It was 1 week, but you have everything you need, and it's still not successful.
See, that's the thing, though. I keep hearing about how good this team is on paper, like the roster on paper. It's like it never amounted to anything. So are they really that good? Is Garrett Wilson really that good? Dropping a pass off his chest? Is Sauce Gardner really that good? Getting burnt by Pickens 2 or 3 times?
And this goes back to your number 1 point. I've heard people say, and it's a great analogy, you bring Patrick Mahomes, you bring Amon St. Brown, you bring A.J. Brown, you bring Barkley, they're just never going to win.
Because of ownership.
Under ownership, coaching.
That's why Belichick doesn't want to be there. He hates this. He hates Woody Johnson. I almost said Woody Allen. He hates Woody. I almost did it too. I literally almost said it.
That's crazy. No, but it really does come down to that. And it's just unfortunate. What do you do at that? What can you do at this
Start
point?
Over draft a quarterback.
No, because it's just going to be the same.
Yes.
I think nothing's going to change until they change ownership and they completely restructure.
I don't want to change sports and keep it on just New York, but the New York Mets, they had a similar situation. I hated their owner. They finally stole the Steve Cohen. Has been completely different. He's been willing to buy players that the old owners wouldn't buy. Like, it's been a totally different situation. The Commanders, they sell. Dan Snyder was the most toxic owner for years. All the shit that was going on with Dan Snyder. All of a sudden, the first year of new ownership, and look at them. It's a completely different. It's really look at the Panthers since David Tepper bought them. It's like a direct correlation. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys.
Like, coaching is one thing, but ownership is a whole nother.
You've had bad owners. Don't you feel the vibe of the staff? Just like it's not good. Like it's
not, and it's unfortunate because nobody else can do anything besides the owner. Nobody else can just say, "Hey, we gotta move on to the new owner." He's the owner.
You don't fire owners. You don't fire owners.
Nothing happens until A, he sells the team, or B,
you get lucky, draft a quarterback, get lucky and get the right head coach.
I was gonna say die, but that would have been a little dark. But yeah, no, maybe draft the right quarterback.
That was funny. No, that was good.
I mean, some people are just that stubborn that they're not gonna hand over the team. I mean, Jerry Jones.
See, it's funny. The Bengals for years were like a laughingstock, and you just get lucky with that one quarterback. I'm like, honestly, maybe.
I'm sorry, who?
The Bengals. But honestly,
no, because it's still the same thing.
It's still weird though.
It is like this is a team that should have been in the Super Bowl and should have won Super Bowls.
I picked them to be in the Super Bowl the last 2 years because I was like, okay, last year they got hurt, it was a fluke. Now this year, but it's like
they stack the defense and they don't want to pay anyone. They stack the offense and they don't want to pay anyone on defense. Yeah, it shows on the script.
Even when their defense was good a few years ago, it was a bunch of like yes, you had Von Bell and Jesse Bates as safety, but then you had a bunch of no names and Trey Hendrickson they signed and they had no idea he was going to be this good. So it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying completely. They don't pay the defense much. They let all the defensive pieces go. Jesse Bates is on the Falcons, the best safety in the league right now. So like, yeah, they let them go.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it comes down to ownership. If you want to win Super Bowls, you got to have a good owner.
Yes, and I think where else are we going to go with the Jets?
I think that was like a 10-minute, 15-minute segment. We could spend all day talking about the Jets and what they did wrong, what they did right.
You know what else we could spend all day on? And it's this whole situation is, it's been very controversial. And like I don't like getting into the specifics of everything. It's just it's a very touchy subject. But Deshaun Watson, he goes to run and you see his Achilles pop right away. Is there official ruling yet on him being out for the season?
Yeah, there was.
And he tore his Achilles, right? Yeah.
Pop, yep.
You saw it when he went. It was a quarterback draw, and you saw when
he stepped up,
and you saw the Achilles just jolt. Like
you can tell, like just like what happened on the 49ers last year in the Super Bowl. Like the guy was sitting there on the sideline, goes to run in, and completely pops his Achilles.
And
and it's like it's an injury that's just
freak.
like...
It's a freak thing.
It is.
Now, I said this with Tua when we went on that Hofstra radio. Go check that out if you haven't yet. I said this on the Hofstra radio. With Tua, with the concussions, when people are like, oh, he should retire. I'm like, he wants to make the Hall of Fame. He wants to make a Super Bowl. And I'm sure with everything that's happened to Deshaun Watson, we won't get into specifics. Like, look, it's a lot of weird shit that happened. It's a whole situation. It's...
a lot of legend.
Yeah, it's a lot of shit going on with him. And yeah, there's a lot of negativity. And yes, he was kind of a distraction. Whatever, fine. I'm sure he wants to go out there. I'm sure he wants to make the Hall of Fame. I'm sure he wants to make a Super Bowl. And you saw that when he was crying, getting carted off. Like, he wants to play. He wants to be out there. And like, for that, yes, I feel bad. Like, I don't like seeing a guy that has aspirations to make the Hall of Fame, make a Super Bowl, be a playoff team, prove all the doubters wrong, and him get carted off the field crying. I don't like to see that. But the Browns fans have been through a lot. You got to remember that. Their owner, no one wanted to pay this guy, and he didn't want to come to the Browns. But the owner, Jimmy Haslam, said, "Oh wait, I got something for you, Deshaun. Let me make your contract fully guaranteed. Fully guaranteed. You all your money you're getting, no matter what." Deshaun's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, fuck it, I'm going there. Screw it." And he comes, 11-game suspension right off the bat. Boom, 11-game suspension. You're suspended. Comes back. First season, sketchy as hell. Last season, very sketchy. Started to finally come on towards the end before he got hurt. Then all of a sudden, there was a game where he was medically cleared to play. Didn't play. Next game out for the season. So everyone's like, what the hell happened with this guy? Comes back this year, you're like, okay, expectations. He was, other than probably Trevor Lawrence, the worst quarterback in the league. And then he gets hurt again. So I think the Browns were booing the fans. Yes, it was disgusting. Obviously, like you don't want to boo anyone, no matter what he did. Yeah, like we're not gonna get into if he's innocent or guilty with what he did. Well, that's another topic for another day. Yes, what they did was kind of disgusting. A guy fucking snapped his Achilles, and you're like booing him, going on a cart, crying. Like it's not a good sight to see. But I think they were booing more out of frustration for the shit they've been through for the last 3 years with him. It's not what he did off the field; it's what he's done or hasn't done on the field, Dylan. I'll let you go.
I understand that, and I'm just going to start this off by saying, I mean, we're from New York, so we're very much aware of this, but. On the radio, there's this Charlemagne. They do Donkey of the Day. The Donkey of the Day
Breakfast
for me
Club.
is the Browns freaking fans. This is ridiculous. You have your star quarterback out there that just tore his Achilles, that has a family out there that has he's a human being, and you have the fans of your organization booing after he just got carted off on a season-ending injury, and that's disgusting. That is. At the end of the day, that's not right. It doesn't matter, what he did or what he didn't do, or how well he was playing or how bad he was playing, but that's just not right.
So I'm going to take a different take than what everyone else is taking. I can tell you, they're booing what he did off the field. They think he's a piece of shit. They think all that. I'm not going to go there right now because, like, we're just going to be talking. Like, no one's going to agree with anyone on this. Everyone's going to be arguing over everyone. Like, I'm not going to go there. What I will say is I think they were booing. Yes, they booed him. It was ridiculous. Like, I get it. But I think they were booing more of, like, the situation that he put them. That he screwed them. He didn't intentionally screw them, but this situation with Deshaun Watson has now screwed the Browns franchise for years and years. They are screwed. Now they saw him tear his Achilles, and they were booing the situation. Like, I thought they were booing more of the situation than him. That was my take on it. It's like, boo! What the fuck is going on with this franchise? That's what I think. Like, I get what you're saying.
You got to be more sympathetic, and I don't expect people from Cleveland. Like, listen, I don't want to crap on anyone. People from Cleveland, they're ruthless. Like that fan base is no joke. I mean,
dude. They've been through so much shit, man. They finally get a good team. They run Baker out of town, beg for Deshaun Watson to play for them, and this is what they get for that. Baker on the Bucs putting up career year numbers, and they get Deshaun Watson, who was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, sucks now. It's frustrating.
It is.
It's a frustrating situation,
and I feel like not enough time has passed where we can say that he's a terrible quarterback. Like, I get it. He has, but you got to realize he hasn't played for years.
Let's not forget
not years, but years. Let's not
months. Forget right, but let's not forget last year when I was the one saying I think he's going to be big, and you were like, I don't know, he looks shaky. Like, but you saw it too, though.
Nobody just comes out of injury and just starts slinging it.
But this year was historically bad, like all-time bad numbers. Like he wasn't even average, Dylan. He was like 30, 31 out of 32. It was like. It's crazy how bad this Browns team's been. And yes, the offensive line has really sucked, but he doesn't move like he used to. He can't get out of the pocket. He's almost like Aaron Rodgers in a way, but not accurate.
And now I'm going to go on the other side of it. I understand what they're saying because this is a team last year we saw this defense might have been the best defense.
Last year was the best defense in the league.
Then you throw
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco in there. And they still look like a competitive team that's winning. Hey, we really thought I thought they could have made the Super Bowl. The way that they were playing, dude, I thought it could have been a thing.
And it's funny because Joe Flacco, I don't want to get off topic here. He's doing the same thing to Anthony Richardson and the Colts. It's like crazy how it's like almost. We'll get into that later. But
it's two great offenses.
Yes,
two good offenses. It's not like you're throwing him on the Panthers. And
that's what's crazy though. This offense has been one of the worst in the league now.
It has, but they have all the talent.
Well, now they traded Cooper though. Nick Chubb just came back.
So is that a sign that they're starting to rebuild?
I think they're
starting
selling.
to take a step back.
Well, next year, Deshaun Watson's cap hit is like. Well, I think this year is like $60 million or whatever. Next year, it's a ridiculous number.
So maybe they're trying to make room for other people.
Well, is Deshaun Watson done as a Brown? Is he done in the NFL? Is he done?
Well, what is his contract like?
He's fully guaranteed it. I think he's got like 4 or 5 years. He got a lot of time left. 3-4 years left.
So you ride it out. Why wouldn't you?
You don't really have a choice.
He's looked bad, but he hasn't. You can't look past the years that he had on the Houston Texans.
I hear you, man. Dude, I love that version of him. I thought he was going on verge to being a Hall of Famer.
Maybe
he was on verge to be a Hall of Famer. Yes.
All these allegations blow over. He's working on rehab. I mean, everyone loves a comeback story.
Here's
I
the
mean,
thing,
look at Baker.
Here's the thing, though. This
Look at
isn't like a
Baker.
Michael Vick situation. It's more of like a Trevor Bauer. I don't know if you've ever heard of Trevor Bauer in the MLB. He got accused of, like, taking advantage of a woman. And, like, I think the woman was proven in court to, like, lie or something. And, like, he's still not back in the league. Like, they still won't let him back. And he's been pitching great in Mexico. It's like, some teams just don't want the head of Colin Kaepernick kneeing, and they don't want him back. It's almost like, dude...
I mean, he's in. He's in. He has his contract. Unless they actually cut him from the roster,
they might
and eat the money.
That's a lot of money to eat. I think the cap hit next year, like the penalty next year, would be like over $100 million, which is like unheard of. So,
I mean,
you're in a tough situation if you're the Browns.
They are, and it's just so unfortunate because this defense is at its prime right now. I mean, it's starting to go away. Like, not go away, but you're at your prime. Like last year and this year is the prime for this.
Myles
defense.
Garrett's only getting older, so yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he went out with the injury against the Giants. He might have came back by now, but like it just goes to show, like you have. The point is this is a ready now team that needs to win now because you have all the pieces you need. But it's just unfortunate.
I think
they don't have the quarterback.
I think they go with Jameis Winston this week, and maybe with Jameis Winston they could be that.
Can he though? Because I don't think Jameis Winston could really win games like that.
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't really know.
Maybe like a couple, but
I feel like the only reason he was the third string is because they didn't want They didn't want if Watson played bad, everyone in the stands to scream Jameis. Really, I really feel like that was the only reason he was the emergency quarterback and wasn't the backup, because he wasn't the backup in this game. He came in after DTR got hurt too, and I don't think he's worse than DTR. I don't think DTR.
I think DTR could play ball.
I don't think he's that good, honestly. Like, I think he's okay.
He has some flashes of, he
did in the preseason too 2 years ago. Yes, he did. Let's move on. This whole situation, we can talk about this for hours. We had a good Monday night game. Ravens-Bucs. Actually, really, what am I saying? It was kind of a blowout. The Bucs started off really strong. They came down the field, touchdown, down the field.
They started off very hot.
Then all of a sudden, Baker pick in the red zone, pick the next drive, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, Ravens are up by 7 points going into halftime, and they never looked back.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this game was going the complete opposite way. Like, the way that they were playing first drive, touchdown, they were driving down the field, had to settle for a field goal. No, that was a touchdown by Godwin that got called back.
Yes, that's
where the momentum changed.
That's where the momentum changed.
And that would have been huge.
Yes.
And then if they would have scored there, drove back down the field, I forgot what happened, but they settled for...
Wasn't there another pick that next drive?
No, that's when the pick happened. And that's just when it altered. It could have been 21-14, and that would have been a completely different game.
Now, after, like 40 seconds left, you were down by 10. Godwin gets hurt, dislocates his ankle out for the year now.
With less than a minute left. Down by 2 possessions.
Now, you're down by 10. Anything could happen. I get leaving your starters out there. Like, you're playing to the end. Like, you think that you could possibly come back. But then you have Mike Evans with the hamstring injury earlier in the game.
So, like,
they're going to be down 2 receivers now.
Why don't you just take the loss and just walk off the field?
They just couldn't take the L. But, like, I'm not going to say I'm, like, pissed. I'm not going to make a scene on the podcast about that right now. Like, I don't think that was, like, that egregious, because, like, no one thinks that's going to happen. You're not sitting there like, okay, Godwin's going to dislocate his ankle right now. You know what I mean? Like, it was just
a freak.
It was unfortunate.
That happened.
Now, I think the biggest topic about this game that I think might be the biggest topic of the week, honestly, can Derrick Henry rush for 2,000 yards? Can Derrick Henry rush for 2,000 yards?
Absolutely. It could happen. Right
he's
now,
at like 980.
He's on pace for over.
What is he at, like 900 right now?
He's at 9 and change. 9.5 maybe.
7 games. We got 17. He could do it. He's already had one.
This offense is so lethal. Like, so in the beginning of the game, they really weren't relying on him at all. Going into halftime, they had 5 rush attempts by Henry. And I'm like, what's going on? Why aren't they running the ball with Henry? And then once they start blowing them out, that's like the nail in the coffin. Henry.
I said this. I said this in the beginning of the year. He's great when you have a lead. You have a lead. He's gonna run. They're gonna ground pound to death. Like, I mean, he's great when you have control of the game. He can dictate the tempo. Like, yeah.
But that's what's just so great about this team. They can do it any sort of way. They could do it by running the ball. They can do it by throwing the ball. They can do it by running with the quarterback. They can do it any way possible. And that just showed it in this game. Like the first half, they weren't just running the ball.
Mark Andrews had 2 touchdowns.
Lamar was slinging it.
Yeah.
Especially, and that's just another great thing. You got all this talent on this team that's just, not really utilized, but it's there when you need it. I mean, Likely's can be a top 5, top 10 tight end anywhere else. He's talented. I saw it enough.
You have 2 top 10 potential tight ends, Andrews and Likely. Think about that for a second.
And then you got Bateman as well. He also went off in this game too. That's just solidified how good he is as well.
I told you earlier in the podcast, I'll say it again. I think right now the Ravens would beat the Chiefs.
Absolutely.
And it's honestly shocking how they didn't week 1.
You know what? Yeah, no. That's fine. I'm over that. But I'm just flashing back to was it the AFC Championship that they played? Yeah. And it's just that was the most rookie mistake. It's like they were doing everything wrong. They weren't running the ball. I think they just choked. That's what it seems like.
They threw the ball too much, but if down 7 in the AFC Championship game now, you think you're not handing the ball to Derrick Henry?
Exactly. It's things are so much different now. It's they kind of understand what they are and what type of team they are.
And they do it well.
They do it well. But at the same time, the Chiefs thrive being the underdogs. They love it. And they always seem a way to find the way out of the dirty situation.
As of right now, though, they would be the favorite. They're undefeated. You know what I mean? Everyone's gonna pick the Chiefs.
So
right now, I think the Ravens would be the underdog.
There's just such a better team right now. I don't care how many losses.
The Ravens are the better team.
They are.
They are. Let's honestly, when we do our top 10 next week, because we're going, I think we got a week or two. But there's 18 weeks. We'll probably do it after week 9.
I'm pretty sure I had them at first.
You did. I had the Chiefs over them just because the Chiefs beat them. But the Ravens would beat them now. The Ravens would beat them.
Right. Huh?
Another team that has a ridiculous running game. Honestly, out of this world, this is the best team in the league in my opinion. The Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions,
best team in the league.
Montgomery goes down. You might think it's the Ravens, but I think it's the Lions. I really do. Montgomery goes down. He comes back later in the game. But all of a sudden, this guy Gibbs, is he a top 10 running back in the league if Montgomery wasn't there? Honestly, it's
I will
crazy.
say he might be the best receiving back in the league.
Other than Barkley, maybe.
That's what's crazy about this Eagles team. They're not utilizing his running factor
in the passing game.
They're not.
That's actually kind of funny that you said that. We'll talk about. We're gonna get.
We will. No, I'm deferring. But
dude, Jared Goff, could he be an MVP candidate? He's got a 74 completion percentage. He's got a 112 passer rating. He's been playing out of his mind, Dylan.
No, he can't.
Why not?
He can't. He's just not. He's not the star on the team, and there's just so much more better players.
So who will win it over him right now? Derrick Henry, maybe.
Derrick Henry. That I've been saying that for a while now. Derrick Henry is my runner-up for
Lamar
MVP.
Might be creeping up,
but
too.
I'm talking about quarterbacks. Darnold has it for me.
I think in this game, Goff showed he's better than Darnold, but I think the Lions showed in this game that they are the Vikings gave a good fight. Darnold played well, but I think the Lions showed that they are the better team. That offense, this is an all-time offense. I'm just saying it right now with the pieces they have and the way they do things so well with the offensive coordinator, the 2 running backs, the tight end, Amon-Ra. They are the best offense in the league.
One missed field goal, and what would your take be this week? What would it be this week? If they missed that field goal, would your take be different? Was no, Sam Darnold it's just a field goal. That's what's crazy. This game could have gone. They were leading at the end. If they didn't hit that field goal.
Yeah, but also the Lions were down 2 scores in the beginning, and they came right back. So I'm not really worried about the Lions.
The Vikings were down.
The Vikings were down. But in the beginning, the Lions were down. The Vikings got to the early lead first.
And then the Vikings were down by 2 scores. And then they came back.
And then the Lions came back, too. So the Vikings were trailing. Actually, sorry. The Vikings had the first lead. The Lions came back. Then the Vikings came back. Then the Lions came back again. So the Lions, they're both very even, Dylan. This is actually a very neck and neck matchup.
This was the type of battle that listen. You want to talk about battles? Let's look at all the games that the Vikings played that were saying, "Oh, they're frauds. They're this. They're that." Let's see. Let's go through it right now.
I don't think they're frauds. But
no, a lot of people are saying it. They destroyed the Giants. Beat them by
they worked the Niners.
3 possessions.
They worked the Niners.
Hold up, where are we? I just lost myself. Sorry.
They destroy the Giants. I can tell you right now. They destroy the Giants. They work the Niners. They work the Texans. They beat the Packers. They're actually working the Pack.
Beat the Jets. Great defense.
Jets suck.
They destroyed the Texans. They
fucked
beat
up
the
the Niners.
Packers. All legitimate teams. All legitimate
They're
defenses.
a playoff team.
Come on.
The Lions are better. The Lions are better.
They're an AFC.
They're
a Super Bowl contender. This could be
the NFC Championship game.
Especially with Jordan Addison back. I mean, you got that 1 and 2.
So, Dylan, then what's up with these reports about the Vikings trying to trade for Matt Stafford?
That's a great question.
Was that legit? Or should we even be talking about that right now? Like,
that came from a legitimate source. I mean, it's very much a real thing.
Yeah, if you want to just confirm that. Like, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that. But
I couldn't believe it. I mean, we can talk about... I mean, it's definitely a thing that they're looking to... Yeah, no, the first thing that comes up, the Vikings and Rams are in a serious trade talking about quarterback.
Serious trade, not just a phone call. A serious trade talk.
Serious trade. And that would be like a blockbuster trade.
That would shake the whole league.
That would. And
why? Wait, so would the Rams get Sam Darnold, though?
Why wouldn't they?
You're going to keep both?
So are the Rams trying to rebuild?
Do you want to click that link and see like what the detail would be of that? Honestly, we should definitely talk about that right now. Let's see what's going on.
We should.
Because would they take Darnold back? Or would you just keep all three? Would you keep Stafford, Darnold, and McCarthy? Like, why? Would they trade McCarthy, the young rookie first-round pick, to McVay? That actually might make more sense.
There's no actual details about it. Just a rumor coming from Don Clemen. Yeah, Clemen. And he is the most accurate NFL news and stories. I mean, everyone says that. Anyways, no, I've heard that he's a reliable source that can be trusted. So there's definitely some. I mean, they're definitely talking about. It's been confirmed that Rams that they're trying to trade Cooper Kupp, and I get that. I mean, he's a ready now wide receiver. You know, you're only going to have him for 1 or 2 years, so he's going to a team that's ready now.
So are they selling a house? I guess.
I definitely don't think they're getting rid of Puka. You got a young star.
They're not getting rid of Puka or Kyron.
I mean, look at them now. They're not doing good. They won 2 games.
They're kind of shot. Their 2 best players, Cooper and Matt Stafford, are like old and shot. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, why? I mean, that might be the smartest decision they can make.
Yes.
Get rid of Stafford. Get rid of your old guys.
And what if you go out and get Jason?
Get in some draft picks, and why not rebuild?
And what if you get
That's smart.
What if you get J.J. McCarthy, the first round pick, who was like 20? Coming off a leg injury with Sean McVay. I think that could be lethal.
That can, with Puka Nacua.
He's 20. He could definitely grow into something.
They're very good at picking in the draft. Honestly, this might be the smartest decision they've made.
For the Rams, yes. For the Vikings, I don't know if it makes sense.
It doesn't make sense. But let's talk about it. Where would Matthew Stafford fit well?
The Giants?
The Giants are literally about
That's just a question. I don't know if I don't
no,
agree with that, but...
I mean, the Giants... What else is wrong with them besides the quarterback?
Your secondary is not great.
Defensive line makes up for it.
Your O-line struggles without Thomas.
Listen, we could have won... If we had a capable quarterback beyond that, we could have been 5-1
He took a lot of sacks that game.
Besides the Vikings game, we were in every single one of those games that came down to the last play.
Not the game that we just watched. You know, the one where you got just killed by the Eagles?
Yeah, no.
The one you got destroyed?
No,
that one? Yeah, the worst game of the season. The season for you?
Anyway, 5-2, whatever.
Right. Honestly, let's move. We can go on and on about the Stafford thing. I really don't think it's going to happen. If it does, we'll react.
But
to
no,
it
if you think about it, it's a great move. Get rid of the old folks. Bring in the new
for
folks.
For the Rams, is genius. Stafford's probably look. He's weathered. He's still slinging it. Yes, but he's weathered. Cooper Kupp, he's honestly shot now. He's shot.
That's crazy. You're saying that now. That's crazy.
How is that crazy?
Because you've been so high on Matthew Stafford.
I'm saying Cooper Kupp.
I'm sorry, Cooper Kupp.
He's good when he plays, but he never plays anymore.
He doesn't.
He's always hurt. So how can I rely on him? I can't. Stafford's been playing more than Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's shot. Yeah.
Okay. What other team?
The Saints.
That's not a bad take.
I'll give one more. Let me think of one more. I know because you have Carr.
The Browns. Oh, Brown trade him with Cooper Kupp.
the Cleveland Browns.
That might look good.
Would they do
Did
that?
I just
though?
predict what's going to happen? Is this going to happen?
Are they even
this
in the
week?
running though? But would they do that with the whole Deshaun Watson thing?
AFC is pretty.
That might be the best fit for him. And if you bring Cooper Kupp there, but we're speaking
It's like a
hypothetical.
ready now team kind of thing.
Especially if you bring Cooper Kupp, like you have players now.
You have defense. Defense is there.
Garrett Ward, yes, you have defensive players.
Oh, that would look good. Don't think it's going to happen.
Exactly. We could keep going on this for hours. Honestly, we're saying like a lot of hypotheticals here about how good the Browns' offense could be. There's this one team to me that's like this offense is like to me it's been insane. And this quarterback has been kind of insane. And that's the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. You know, that offense is so elite. You have a bunch of guys there that maybe some people might think they're no names. To me, they're not no names. Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson. They have Musgrave and Kraft, the tight ends, Josh Jacobs. They're honestly, that offense, Dylan, is elite. I'll let you get into what you got to get into in a second. Just let me, I got a little interesting take here. Jordan Love, the guy is like, I love watching him play.
I love this.
Other than Kyler Murray, who's also exciting to watch, I think Jordan Love is the most exciting player to watch in the league. Why? He's just so aggressive down the field. He is literally, it's funny because they're both Packers. He's the modern day Brett Favre, sprinkled in with Aaron Rodgers. Like, his mentality is Brett Favre, sling it down the field, but his mechanics are Aaron Rodgers, where he sidearm, offset throws. And right now, he's got 15 touchdowns. You're going to want to hear this. He's got 15 touchdowns and 8 picks in 5 games. He's on lots of touchdowns, but lots of picks. He's on pace to have 45 touchdowns, but 24 picks. He's on pace to lead the league in touchdowns and lead the league in picks. So that's a little.
I'm okay with that.
I'm about to say I am here for it, my friend. He is 100% gunslinger. A lot of turnovers, a lot of bad plays. But if they're winning and he's making big plays, I'm here for it. Like, honestly, he's the most exciting guy in the league to watch because like you see him throw it, and you're like, is this going to be a crazy touchdown? Is it going to be a pick six? You don't know, really. It's like it's very interesting.
No, you don't. And I think we gotta start a take. Worst takes and best takes. And honestly, let's rewind a year and a half ago.
You love bringing this up.
I do because he might be the best quarterback in the league now. We were going into last season and we were talking about Jordan Love, and this guy was saying he's not the guy. He can't be the guy. He can never be the guy. He can't be the guy anywhere. What do you have to say to your past self, year and a half self? What are you going to tell him?
What I'll say is the chances of going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love is like slim to none. No other team's ever done that. So I still stand by that. Who would have thought that was going to happen? Like, come on. And the guy sat for 4 years. When Mahomes sat 1 year, everyone was like, dude, this guy in practice, he's going to be special. You heard none of that with Love. So, like, I had no idea. I didn't know. All I knew, now I know he needed to play a few games, get some experience under his belt. This guy's special. Honestly, I don't want to make a crazy take right now. Like, I'm going to sound stupid. But this guy, the way he plays, the confidence, the arm angles, like the accuracy, the mobility.
Attitude.
He has a chance to be better than those two. I know those are two all-timers, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. But, like, he has a chance to be better if he could rein in the turnovers. Because right now he's a turnover machine. But he throwing 45 touchdowns. Can you blame? I mean, that would be top 10 all time. So can you blame him? Like,
that should say a lot about his character and his playing ability.
He turns the ball over and just bounces right back.
He's not afraid. He's like the opposite of Aaron Rodgers. He's not afraid to throw those interceptions.
That's so true.
And he's not afraid to make those big throws because he knows that his defense will make up for it. I mean, they'll get more from him throwing a crazy play from him throwing a pick, and I'm all for it.
That's why I said he's got the mentality of Brett Favre with the mechanics of Aaron Rodgers because he makes throws like Brett Favre, but he looks like Aaron Rodgers. It's weird. It really is weird.
This goes back to a great point that everyone brings up. It's hard to bring these quarterbacks in from college and just expect them to play out of their minds because it doesn't happen. But sitting him behind a veteran, is that the way? Did we just move away from this and it's just, we have too much high expectations on all these quarterbacks that's coming out of the college and just playing out of their mind like C.J. Stroud?
I've always been a fan of, in life, not even just football, but in life, if you want to learn something, do it. You want to learn how to do a podcast? Do a podcast. You know. So I was always a fan of put their ass out there, let them struggle, let them learn on their own. In this case, maybe it was best for him to sit for 3 years and watch Aaron Rodgers. You know, like same for Aaron Rodgers when he was behind Brett Favre.
Then we have cases like Bryce Young that don't even get more than 2 seasons and they're run out of town.
I think our problem is we expect everyone to come out and be C.J. Stroud, Justin Herbert, Jaden Daniels. We expect that, and that's not the norm. Those are special outliers, you know? Most of the norm is like a Bo Nix, who's struggling this year. You see promise. You also see bad games. That's most...
Everyone doesn't come out like Jaden Daniels.
Caleb Williams, first couple games, we were all like, is this going to work in the league? Nah. The last couple games, you're like, he's improving.
He might,
yeah, so usually most quarterbacks, you see bad, progression. Look at Drake May. This has been nice progression for him, but he's been sitting. So it's like...
he's came out besides Jaden Daniels because he's like a phenomenon that we don't see often. But like he's come out and looked better than all these other quarterbacks started. Like I feel like look, even in the span of 5 to 6 weeks, just sitting them and just having them get familiar with the rotation, with the count, with the cadence, with everything, he came out looking like he's been playing all year.
He did. And like one of the best rookie seasons of all time was CJ Stroud's season. And I kind of said they added more talent. They had Stephon Diggs. They had Danielle Hunter on the defensive side. And I was saying, like, you know, they might have a better record. They might be a better team. But I feel like it's not going to be as clean. It's not going to be as smooth. It's going to look ugly sometimes. I felt like CJ Stroud would have a slight regression because defensive coaches, defensive coordinators, second year, you get some film on him in the offseason. They're the hunted. They're not hunting anymore. They're the hunted. People are gunning for their heads. And you're seeing that now. Yes, they're 5-2. They're fine. They're a good team. They're a contender. They're an AFC contender. But there has been some struggles from CJ Stroud in year 2. He didn't even throw for 100 yards. He had 5 picks all of last year. He's already up to 4. So clearly he hasn't been the same. But he's obviously still a top 10 quarterback. You've seen the big throws. You've seen the big plays.
Absolutely.
You're missing Nico Collins. I get that. But you know, even with more talent, I thought that they would have some slight struggles this year because people are gunning for their head. So they have a better record, but it hasn't looked as pretty as last year.
It hasn't. And I feel like a team like this, the expectations are through the roof. I mean, they won playoff games, so you expect them to come in dominating. But that's obviously not the case. You're going to see some regression. They have tape on you now. They know what you do. So obviously you're going to have some sort of step back.
And now, as CJ Stroud, Bobby Sloak, you have to adjust. So
yeah. And listen, I think things are only going up from them. They have Joe Mixon back. And Joe Mixon, he's a game changer for this team.
I was going to say that.
He is a game changer for this team. Back-to-back games, over 100 rushing yards. I mean, he's just not slowing down.
God bless for Joe Mixon in this game, because if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have been this close in the game.
No. I mean, listen, this is another game like the Lions-Vikings. This could have gone either way. One field goal, one missed field goal. Literally the same situation happened. Both these teams were leading, and the opposing team was rushing down the field, and they kicked field goals. I mean, these were very close games.
It came down to the wire, and it was a great game. And honestly, like C.J. Stroud's kind of the opposite of Jordan Love. Yes, his turnovers are up this year. They're still half of Jordan Love's. It's kind of funny because Jordan Love. I hate to go back to the Packers, but like, you know, C.J. Stroud, he makes throws, and you kind of know where it's gonna go. Jordan Love, he makes a throw, you're like, what is about to happen here? Is this about to be a 60-yard touchdown or like a 60-yard pick six? It's kind of crazy to watch. It's really
exciting.
It's really exciting. Fun to watch Jordan Love.
His
whole motion is just like, this was a good game. It was like, it wasn't as high scoring as you would have thought initially, but like, this was a classic. Texans-Packers, that was fun to watch. Now, this probably wasn't fun to watch. I'll let you go on about your Giants. Go ahead.
Listen.
Go ahead. Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
You really put
We'll end this on this.
You put me on the spot here. Listen, this was a game I couldn't watch. Halfway through, I turned it off. I'm going to be completely honest. This was a disgusting game. And this just only showed how Daniel Jones just can't be our quarterback, that he can't get it done. And I needed a game like this to bring me back to earth because it's just the inconsistency with him. I mean, it's not coaching, it's not line, it's nothing. I mean, yes, at the end of the day, we were missing Andrew Thomas, and obviously that was a big factor in this offensive line. It was
It was the most important thing of the game.
He got sacked 5 plus times. What, 5, 6, 7, 8?
It was pretty pathetic.
I don't even know because I stopped watching at some point. But he got sacked a lot.
You told me. You're like, I turned off the game. You told me that.
I couldn't. I couldn't watch it. Score 3 points. Thank God I didn't finish. If I would have finished watching that game, I might have killed myself. This was the most disgusting game I ever watched. And honestly, like, it's just so disappointing. Like, they almost beat Cincinnati. They almost beat these good teams. They beat Seahawks, and then they just get destroyed by the Eagles.
I know.
I don't know what to make of it anymore, and I think I'm just off of Daniel Jones.
They're doing a Jets thing where they kind of even been reeling you in, getting you kind of invested in just like ripping your heart out. It's a very Jets thing to be doing.
It is. How can you be so inconsistent? Like, I don't know.
I just
defense too. I mean, we were getting torched, man. Like, Barkley was torching us with Burns. I mean, Burns is still a great. Don't get me wrong, he's still a great defensive lineman, but or a linebacker. I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, you need everyone else to step up, and you can't be letting those huge gains.
Well, I think
It was just
for a while, honestly, since Brian Dable's been coach, you've had tackling issues. I will say that, but
we've always had tackling issues.
So
I hate to, we've always had.
I'm gonna be like kind of the. I'm going to be the voice of reason for Giants fans right now because usually I'm the one shitting on the Giants. I'm the one that picks them to be 116. I'm the one that picks them to be awful. But I will say this. Barkley, yes. That game, it didn't look good. And obviously, Joe Shane looks dumb for letting him go. Whatever. I still think it was the right move for you guys. They offered him a similar, if not just as good of a contract over a year ago, and he turned it down. So, like, what are you going to do at that point? Are you going to throw the house at him?
A lot of people do that because of taxes and stuff like that. Because New York is a very highly.
You think
taxed.
Philly's not as bad, but it's still pretty bad.
No,
there.
But a lot of people do that. That's happened in multiple.
Tyreek
Hill didn't want to come here because
Jets.
of the taxes, and
Philly's not that much better though. It's still pretty bad.
It's not, but I think he was just sick of being in New York.
Yes, can we just admit that? Like, there was nothing the Giants could have done. He was not coming back. Unless they threw the kitchen sink at him, and this is going to work out for a year or two, and then he's going to fade off. I'm telling you right now, he might even be one of the best players in the league this year. He's been elite, but it wouldn't have worked for the Giants. Like, we've seen it for the Giants. It hasn't been the same. It's a different system with the Eagles. Different offensive line, different quarterback, different head coach, different offensive coordinator. It's a different situation. Like, if Barkley was still in the Giants on this team, you think he would be going off like this? He probably wouldn't be.
No, let's just bring Matthew Stafford in the building. Let's see what we can do, because I'm over it. Daniel Jones he looks good, but he's just too inconsistent. He's not meant for New York. It's going to be like a Sam Darnold thing. He's going to go on another team. He's going to bring them to the Super Bowl, and we're going to look like idiots. But I get it. It's the New York media. He just can't handle it.
So
it has to be.
So before this is we're about to be at the end here, and for the end of this episode, I'll give you one last farewell. Like, what's your last statement for the Giants? What is the state of the New York Giants right now?
Get a new quarterback. That's all I'm gonna say.
Are you keeping Daboll?
Yeah, absolutely. He was the only reason why we won games last year. He's the only reason why we won games this year. And there's nothing wrong with coaching. It really comes down to Daboll. Even you could tell, like in the conferences, like in the press conferences, he just wasn't happy. He didn't want to admit it, but he was over. He was over Daniel Jones.
I'm going to end this episode like this. I really do think the Giants are a quarterback, a tight end, and a corner away from being a legit playoff team. I think they have pieces that you want. Dexter Lawrence is probably the best true nose tackle left in the league.
And I'll let you know this now. If we ever get rid of him, I literally might kill myself. I might do it. I might actually, because I've heard somebody say, "Oh, do you trade away Dexter Lawrence?"
He's a building block.
I'm like, bro, if you trade him, I might actually kill myself.
I would trade Thibodeau over Dexter Lawrence. You don't trade either of those guys. What are we talking?
You just got Burns, all right? You just got Burns.
Let them all go now.
Yeah, let's just get rid of them. Yeah.
All right. Week 8 picks next. Stay tuned for the next episode. Keep subscribing, and sharing. You keep supporting us. We're well over a year now. We're halfway into our second season of this podcast, and
hell yeah,
it's been getting funnier and funnier. Replaying, we're like, okay, no longer than a half hour here, and then we just fucking ramble for an hour, and it's interesting stuff, man.
This could be a 3-hour podcast
with all the shit we have to talk about. All right, stay tuned. Week 8 picks. Thanks, guys. Take care.